Police Lieutenant Raymond Scott had been at the hospital since early morning. Through the vent grills, the air drifted in, warm and stale, as if it still carried the breath of everyone who had ever been in the ward. Scott sat in a chair beside the hospital bed where William Dorsey lay. Dorsey's right arm and shoulder were bandaged, while his left hand was cuffed to the bed. "I'm listening," Scott said, fixing Dorsey with a hard stare. Dorsey flinched. "I already told you everything," Dorsey whined. "I'm not saying it again," the lieutenant said, shifting closer to the bed. "I already said Vivienne came up with everything herself and made me do it," Dorsey stammered. "Who killed Eleanor Chesser?" "I didn't mean to kill her, I just came to talk. Eleanor was really drunk. We stepped out onto the balcony and talked for a long time. We almost made up, and I wanted to hug her, but she was drunk, lost her footing, and fell. It wasn't my fault." "She wasn't drunk. If I hear another lie, your arm won't be the only thing bandaged, trust me," Scott said, cracking his knuckles meaningfully. "All right, she wasn't drunk. I tried to hug her and lean her over the railing, but she couldn't hold on and fell," Dorsey sobbed, contorting his face in an ugly grimace. "Why did you lie about spending the entire evening at Mr. Carlisle's charity event?" "I was scared they'd arrest me." "So scared that you deliberately placed an empty bottle on the balcony and then smashed a glass near Eleanor's body." "I got confused. I didn't mean to." "Why did Vivienne St. get involved with Captain Cross?" "She told me to rent the empty house next to Eleanor Chesser's place so we could watch what was happening without drawing suspicion. Then she got close to Cross to get updates on the investigation firsthand." "Who shot Captain Cross?" "That's Nathan Hanks, McCoy's buddy. He's nuts. I only told him to scare the captain." "Who killed Clifford Brooks?" "Vivienne and I were having a meeting when out of nowhere there was a knock at the door. Vivienne hid and I went to open it. It was Brooks. First he punched me in the face so hard I hit the ground. Then he said he saw me sneaking through his mother's yard that night, heading toward Miss Chesser's house. He told me if I didn't pay him a lot of money, he'd turn me into the cops." He didn't even get to finish his sentence before Vivienne walked up behind him and put a bullet in his head. "Then Billy and I took him somewhere on the outskirts of town and dumped him. Vivienne told me to put Eleanor's gold watch in his pocket. I took it from Eleanor when we broke up." "Who tied up your wife in the basement and why?" "Vivienne set it up herself. She even told me to leave bruises on her wrists so that Cross would trust her completely." "Why did you frame Frederick Larson?" After Cross realized it wasn't an accident, Vivienne said we needed to create a false trail. That fool Larson was perfect for it. I stole his business card, and after the search, Billy broke into Eleanor's house to plant it there. Then he slipped a pair of gloves under Larson's porch. "Vivienne, listen to me, you spineless worm. Answer for yourself instead of hiding behind a woman's skirt." Scott cut him off, spitting into Dorsey's tea with disgust. Dorsey shrank back in fear. "Who killed Billy McCoy?" "Vivienne. McCoy was a rotten guy. He would have turned us in. The man had no conscience at all. Vivienne said it was the perfect moment to get rid of Billy. There were a lot of people at the station. And she stole the scalpel when she was in the hospital. What were you planning to do with Larson?" "Vivienne told me to kill him. Said he was a useless, unnecessary witness. She told me to force him to write a confession saying he killed Eleanor and then take him out. But I'm not a killer. I was going to let him go. I even fed him." "You broke his arm and a rib when you threw him into the well." Scott cut him off. "Who blew up Cross's car?" "I don't know. We have nothing to do with this." "Why did Vivienne shoot Cross? Didn't she realize what killing a cop would mean?" "He recognized her in a photo. And for her, Killing someone is as easy as snapping her fingers. But they had a relationship. Cross was even planning to propose to her. And telling you she's a ruthless, calculating woman who lives only for her desires and stops at nothing to get what she wants. In other words, Medea. And how did you manage to live with Medea all this time? Scott smirked. She used me, forcing me to carry out her crazy plans. I brought her money. If I had tried to run, she would have found me anywhere. She would have killed me. Then why did she leave you there, wounded and cuffed to the radiator? Actually, don't bother answering. Who needs trash like that anyway? Scott scoffed with contempt. Just looking at this pathetic mess disgusted him. All right, last question. Where's Vivienne? I swear, I don't know. She's everywhere. Dorsey sobbed again. After lunch, Lieutenant Scott stopped by the chief's office and reported the outcome of Dorsey's interrogation. Police Chief Harris sat there, grim-faced, surrounded by a haze of cigarette smoke. He listened to Scott while carefully stacking matchsticks into a small house on his desk. All right, send out Vivienne St. photo everywhere. She couldn't have gotten far. We need to move fast and close this case. Yeah, and figure out where Cross's wedding ring went. Log it as evidence. The last thing I need at the station is rats. Yes, sir, Scott said. There's Catherine Vanderbilt sitting in Mendoza's office. Turns out she's related to Miss Chesser and was after a share of the inheritance, too. They caught her at the late Miss Chesser's house while she was opening a hidden safe. She was looking for the will. Get this will sorted out already, along with all these relatives? Yes, sir, Scott said, staring thoughtfully at the matchstick house. What are you sitting around for? Get moving, get to work. I still have to stop by the hospital to check on Cross, Harris barked and knocked the house over.